now that I have all my tools, thank you. First of all, thank you for still being here. It's tough being the last speaker, I think. First, I would like to thank Eric for his last talk. It's very inspiring and reassuring because of a couple of things. When I talk to a lot of very successful entrepreneurs and ask them, why do you think you succeeded? The message actually is not too different from what Eric said. I hope you're paying attention. First of all, it's a repeated pattern, so you can figure out what they do and do the same things. Number two, I think that's, reassuring is actually, if you look at the characteristics, the value systems and all that, you find that it's actually things that you would do to be a good person in some ways, right? So not only does it bring you success, it makes you feel good about yourself. So I thank Eric for that presentation. First of all, to get into what I'm trying to talk about, I want to just be a bit cheeky here and ask you, do you prepare for the last downturn, right? And how many of you saw it coming? I actually can't see. No one saw it coming? Okay. And, if you did prepare for it, what happened, right? The point I'm trying to make here is that, and this has been reinforced almost every other speaker today, is that the only constant is change. Things happen, things will change. And I can tell you, I can predict the future, right? But I just can't tell you when it'll happen. So I know it's going to go up, I know it's going to go down, the economy is going to go up, it's going to go down, but you just don't know what's going to happen. So why am I clowning around with these thoughts, right? It's this line of thinking came from almost a stream of consciousness thinking when I was staring at the topic Ace gave me, preparing for the next upturn. So what can I possibly say that will that's not commonplace, that will be useful for your 30 minutes that you're going to spend with me? So it came down to me, it's not things that you need to do because it's going to turn up, the economy is going to turn up. It came down to me as things you need to do to actually be better. And why not be great instead of just be better, right? So as I thought along those lines, I asked myself, so what are the things I would do in a downtime? Frankly, in an uptime, it's even more important because you forget that the downturn is coming, right? So what are you going to do to help you be better, be great? I think some of the stuff that Eric talked about, other entrepreneurs talked about, absolutely right. But I'm trying to summarize all that into a few things. And here's what I'm going to cover, just three ideas for you to think about, the ings, basically, of preparation. Meaning, innovation, and selling, right? From the heart to the head to the hands. What are you going to do to be ready? First of all, let's get into a little bit details on what I mean by meaning. Unfortunately, this talk is not one with a lot of examples. It's a little bit intellectual, but it also is trying to get you to think about what it is you're trying to do in your business, right? So one of my friends, Guy Kawasaki, wrote a book a few years back in 04, called Out of the Start. And in there he had one very good chapter called Making Meaning, or Make Meaning. Why do people do things, right? And why is there this philosophical chapter in a startup book? The reason you do things is for one of a few reasons that Guy listed. Increase the quality of life, right or wrong, or do something, prevent the end of something good. And the idea here is that you got to get your meaning well understood, well defined, because meaning drives passion, passion drives everything else, right? And here, the first piece I want to make sure you think through when you start a company or embark on a new business, or frankly, a new venture, is some of these Stephen Covey stuff, right? What's your values, mission? What's your values, your vision, your mission? Again, Eric referred to some of this earlier. Not just for your company, by the way, for yourself, right? Do you know what your values are? Are you clear about them? What's your vision for your life? And then how you narrow it down to a mission that you have to execute in the next 5 years, next 10 years, right? And do that for your company too. The idea here is without the clarity in meaning, you have no reference points to handle all the changes, whether it's downturn or upturn. You just have no clue how to respond to the changes because you don't know what your reference point is. Here's an exercise that you could do on your own. Would you build an online gambling company? Right? What legal businesses won't you build and why? Right? These questions hopefully get you to think about what is meaning to you and get your clarity on your meaning. This is sort of an extension on clarity, and it's also an extension on some of the topics that folks mentioned earlier about talent. You know, success is about talent. It's about working with the best people for the mission you're on. So what do people mean to you? In fact, not just your colleagues and employees. What about your family? What do they mean to you? Do you understand that yourself, and do you express it to them, specifically in the way you act and in the way you communicate? There's several reasons for this. I think I'm assuming I'll be almost preaching to the choir that you are clear with your family members as to what they mean to you, right? Very important. And people function very well when there's clarity in those relationships. The other reason I put this here is I find that a lot of entrepreneurs I've talked to forget this piece. Right? And they go off and they build companies, and in the end, they get divorces. I've seen too much of that, right? Because you're not clear on what you want, you don't set the expectations, and when push comes to shove, sometimes the family gets shoved, for example, or other workers get shoved, for example, right? So be very, very clear and thoughtful on that. Would the folks you laid off or fired ever work for you again? Right? Ask yourself that honestly. In fact, if you've ever laid somebody off or fired somebody, go talk to them. That's if you ever want to work with them. If some people you don't want to work with. So go ask them, right? Did you treat them with enough dignity for them to come back to you? And the third piece is about yourself. Right? It's one of the mistakes I made is after Interwoven, after coming back, I was itching to do something, so I went right into another startup, right, which occupied me the last 4-5 years or so.